Ladies and gentlemen, this is the behavior that we get from this man. Out of his chair. Welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Sofi Weekly. Tevis is back. He's been sitting or away from that chair for 30 or so minutes. We didn't know when he was going to come back, so it was good timing. And Roy the Wonder Boy, perfectly on time again. How you doing?
Good. It's been a fun week.
Yeah.
You?
You especially. I mean, hey, I don't know if we had as good of a week as yours, but why don't you explain? Without saying any names, of course.
Yeah, there's a certain company, and I'm a little chilly. Let me put on my hat here. There's a certain company that ran up to not an all-time high, but closed all-time weekly high and also daily high. And, kind of hit a new significant psychological level and is over 50% of my holdings. So it's pretty cool. But I'm not going to name names because, that's all we're here about. Yeah. Matt Money bought more SoFi too. Yeah.
A member for 12 months on Tevis's channel. Holy crap, full year. Jeez.
Supporting me financially.
Yeah, you want to congratulate or thank your sugar daddy for helping you out?
Thank you, Matt.
I actually don't know who's the sugar daddy for who.
You say thank Matt, but then what you guys see is that he's a member for 12 months. What you guys don't see is all the abuse I get through text messages from Matt. So it sort of evens out at the very end.
And I abuse Tevis too all the time. I love sending Tevis, like when Palantir is running hot, I'll just send him a screenshot. No text, no comment, anything. And he knows what date is coming up. Don't you, Tevis?
You guys are the freaking worst cult out there, dude. It's just the worst. I'm going to start muting all of you.
No, I try not to shove it in Tevis's face for anything that not the things that I'm holding, but things that he made me hold. What the fuck? By the way, I'm talking about unity. I'm not talking about, this is not like a hymns joke or something like this. But yeah.
Yeah.
Or yeah, B-dubs. That's what I realized what I was saying, and then I was like, let me clarify really quickly. We're talking about mobile ad platform.
You know that too well.
Well, not just mobile ads. I shouldn't say that. But anyway, let's get into some SoFi news. Enough with the joking around. People are pouring in. First off, guys, I think this was really interesting news this week. Wonder if you guys saw it. I mean, I know you guys saw it, but for everyone else, SoFi launching their DSP platform, their directed share platform to allow U.S. companies to IPO, do extra capital raises, follow-ons, bonds, these sort of stuff. What did you guys think about this? Do you think that this is going to yield any amount of real revenue? Do you think that there's going to be any sizable companies that end up actually using this platform? Or is it going to be, smaller, more niche businesses?
I think it'll see increased traction as time goes on, especially as there's, some successful launches through it. IPOs, I haven't looked probably in 6 or 8 months. I know we had some big IPOs. I actually just checked on today, the Instacart, Kava, like they've all done well. There's a number of other companies that have talked about and made intentions to go public at some point. And as bull markets continue to be bull markets, more and more companies that are private look to enter the public markets and take advantage of that. So And just because of the space that certain companies have, like it gets spread around. Like SoFi, it's not a winner take all type of position at all. So, but SoFi will benefit from that for sure. It's actually a really good time to launch that product. So, but meaningful revenue won't be had for a while. So that won't take a while to play out.
Tevis?
This is actually the first time I'm hearing about this. I've been on sort of vacation all week.
Oh, brother, let me tell you about this then. This is super exciting.
Yeah, I don't know any news other than the earnings date has been announced, and that's pretty much all I know.
So SoFi launched a new B2B platform that similar to SoFi at Work in a way. Their main customer is the business, and their differentiating factor is the fact that they deal with a retail audience. So let me show you this real quick. They partnered with a company called Primary Bid. Okay, they do this all the time, but they're a UK company. So what they help with in this picture, actually, one sec, I'm going to close this out and just show this picture really quick. It doesn't show too much, but at least you get to see the little gist. So essentially, SoFi is launching this platform to help Primary Bid enter a US market. They are a UK, Europe company that helps businesses IPO onto markets and sort of not have to go with the Morgan Stanleys or the JP Morgans or the Goldman Sachses of the world to raise capital. They can end up doing this, and where SoFi is going to help out is that Primary Bid has an additional feature. Opposed to just going out and raising institutional money, they can raise non-institutional money or retail money. So one of the things that I talked about in one of my videos is like Uber, for example, for some of their large, more active drivers, they offered people to gain IPO access who were drivers in on their IPO, and so they went and got a direct share program with one of the big companies like Goldman Sachs, but this is more tech focused. So the people who are going to enter in these IPOs will be SoFi Invest customers. So let's say Stripe and wants to go public, and they want to give some of their top merchants or employees or customers somehow of their product access to their IPO or help raise capital from them as well. They will send them a link to download SoFi, create a invest thing, and then they will have a unique invitation to purchase in on Stripe shares before they're public. And that's all managed from Primary Bid, and SoFi will be the distributor of this product.
So, okay, so it's basically like a Carta.
A Carta?
Yeah, like the company Carta, their equity management solutions. They basically do the same thing.
Yeah, that's a private company, right?
It is a private company.
Yeah.
So in this case, it would only be the employees of that So like let's say Stripe in this case, it would only be Stripe employees that have access to this dashboard where they can manage their own position / buy, or would it be available to
that dashboard is for the company. So the company is going to manage their subscribers. The user or the employee is going to just see it from their app, right? And they're going to get access or sort of timelines of where they are in the IPO process, how many shares they have.
Yeah, but it's not going to be available to like all SoFi Plus members to be able to access the private markets through this.
That's dependent on what Stripe wants. So if Stripe wants to allow that, then that's their prerogative. But the idea is that they're going to be able to match that.
So there could be a possibility.
If I remember, Carta that's the company that digitalized cap tables and everything, right?
Yeah.
So
they allow you to manage your stake in private companies. So, like for example, for me, I would get shares. What that means right now, since we're a very, very small company, we've only raised a couple rounds. It's like a piece of paper with a couple of signatures on it, and it tells you the strike price and it tells you the number of shares. But I've used Carta in the past and other companies that are a little bit further along, where I can literally log on and I can see the number of shares I own. I can see the valuation of those shares, and I can interact with those as though it were like my, portfolio. Like I'm logging into my Robinhood app, for example, but it's for my own company shares. And I can do that across multiple different companies that I've worked for, in the past as well.
So I remember this company now. I looked into them a little bit. I think they have like a 90% share of that market, if I'm not mistaken, right?
They're
Like,
they're definitely the cleanest solution out there for just employees to manage their own shares and
but also they're mad expensive though, right? That was the problem, is that companies to use Cardo were paying like crazy. So anyway, this is off topic, but essentially, yes, it's going to be part of the capital raises, and they had so the reason why Primary Bid even went to SoFi in the first place is because they needed the compliance help. They needed the brokerage side, right? Taking in customer deposits. SoFi has all of that.
right.
So they partnered with SoFi and Primary Bid. They're not super big, but they're also not that small either. They've done 350 transactions. Sounds small, but each transaction could potentially be an entire capital raise or like a new funding round or an IPO. Like it's quite a lot actually. So they've done like things for Aston Martin, Deliveroo, what were some other ones? M&G, these sort of names.
Yeah, I mean, look, I've only learned about this 5 minutes ago, so mind you, my opinions are gonna not be that nuanced. My main questions right now are what's SoFi's angle here? Because every new SoFi product that launches, I'm thinking of it as a primary layer in terms of, okay, is this product like a unit economic contributor to the ecosystem? Like in itself as a standalone, is it a good thing or a bad thing? But then with every product, I'm looking at a secondary layer to see, okay, where is there synergies within the existing ecosystem that this can benefit? And if this is something that like, you know, every company that comes through Primary Bid can also be a relay customer, that's definitely one thing. But if this is like, hey, we're going to now allow exclusive access for SoFi Plus members to have access to private, markets, and no other company is going to allow you to do that, but through SoFi Invest you can, that's a much bigger thing.
I potentially, and I think I don't think it's that big. I don't think that this is a massive ad for all the customers. I think that this is very similar to SoFi at Work, where one, it's a way to get new customers onto the platform. Once they're there to get their Stripe shares, to get their whatever shares, they might end up getting a checking account. They might end up getting a credit card. So bringing them over to the ecosystem, and then you have that secondary rush of potential revenue, which might be a split with Primary Bid on the administration fees, right? So whatever their like, you know, their fee model is, whether that's a SaaS monthly subscription, something like this, SoFi may have a split in that with them because they are the distributor. It means more AUM coming onto the platform, new customers coming on to take part. They're currently the only brokerage that's working with Primary Bid for this in the United States. So could be interesting in terms of just bringing on new users. I don't know if it's going to be as big as the ARK Venture Fund or alternative investments yet.
Yeah, but it adds. So I spent a couple of weeks with SoFi Invest playing with it, and it's not amazing. But the more that they can do things like this, and this may not be, like you said, it may just be more for employees, but there are some companies that might open that up. It also might open the door for them using SoFi as an IPO partner. And the more that happens, the more it differentiates SoFi from other products out there. And then I think that'll help the flywheel. So like it's a nice little thing. But as far as revenue, I guess I didn't fully understand it, but your explanation was really helpful with the DSP, just what that specifically meant. But yeah, SoFi at Work, comparable product, a little bit different. So
could be interesting. I think it also depends, on the first couple names that they end up getting. If there is a really hot IPO market in 2025, they could land some big names.
Can you throw up the slide that I shared there?
Sure.
So this is the annual IPOs, and this is what I was mentioning before, that it takes, you can see, of course, we had a big event here in 2000, big crash, and it takes a few years typically for the IPO market to heal itself. You see in 2008 as well, though it did ramp up in 2010. It didn't really get back to the 200s for about 5 years. That was a big one. Of course, we had a big bear market in 2022. I mean, this is just insane in 2021, but that's the era of low capital. Now, what's coming after 2024 is we've had two good bull markets, bull years. We've had quite a few very successful, prominent IPOs, and interest rates are lowering, so it's a little bit easier on that front. There's one other factor that I was. So AI and machine learning is making it a little bit easier to launch a business and be more labor light. Like you can have a full business or business idea, especially if it's related to AI that's run by 30 people, 50 people. And so I think that we're going to begin to see a lot more IPOs ramping in 2025, 2026, especially. And SoFi will get some of that benefit.
I just saw something interesting while I was. I don't want to take away from your chart either. So Tevis, if you want to say something on that, but
just that as we go into a lower rate environment, that's favorable for IPOs. So there's like an inverse correlation, obviously.
Yeah. If there's less free, or if there's less risk-free money, that means there's more money in stocks, and potentially people will look to invest in new companies that end up getting onto the markets. I'm looking back at this image that I was sharing to you guys, and I just noticed something that I thought was interesting. So right here, it's absolutely tiny. So I don't know if I'll be able to zoom in enough, but it says investor segment. General retail is one of them, which made up for half of the investments that they're seeing. So maybe that is actually opening it up to a public. And then this fake company, Energix, it says the segments for Energix customers, creators, employees, athletes, and then company director. So this might actually be some level of proof that there is a potential for opening it up to the general public, but it's not something that was specified in the article just yet.
Yeah, I thought it was, and I'm a lot less certain. So either way, it's solid. It's another just little bit by little bit, brick by brick. They're paving something that's a little bit different than something that's out there. So yeah,
and it, like I said, I think the best comparison is SoFi at Work. We might see total customer count numbers shared on it. It is positively contributing to the business. We get massive names on SoFi at Work, by the way. You got Tesla, Microsoft, Facebook, like huge names. That could be similar here, where we do actually end up seeing Stripe, Notion, potentially some other names that might actually go public. Could be interesting. And one of the things that I think is interesting as well is you hear this from Wall Street analysts all the time. Dan Dolev was probably the last one that I can think of that just recently said this. Like, all of his coworkers all use SoFi. For the young professional audience, SoFi does extremely well. And porting a lot of these people over that could be customers of these tech companies or something like this probably would be great additional customers to bring on at very, very cheap cost, considering the people who are advertising for us is their own business. Like, Stripe is telling you to download SoFi. That would be the interesting factor.
Yeah.
Anything else on this before we move on to the next story?
Yeah, we'll have to see how it plays out. I'm really curious of how open that will be to individual investors. So,
right.
Those little things, like I like options. I'm missing level 1 options. There's customization that's missing. There's a few other features that's missing from SoFi Invest. But like if they have some differentiated product like this where I can have access to, and they already have the alternative assets. But as they continue to build that out, I'll get interested in SoFi as a secondary platform personally. So I know I'm not the only one.
Guess what? So I got on the phone with my broker 2 days ago, and turns out that they are rolling out level 1 options in a couple weeks. So your boy's going to start selling covered calls on Tesla and on Sofi.
Is that for the brokerage that I know about?
Mm-hmm.
In a couple weeks?
Yep, mid-October.
Woo, that's fun.
It's going to be very fun. So time to degen on selling some covered calls. I got to collab more with TJ and have him teach me all the things and actually pay attention this time because it's relevant to me. But
I seriously spent probably a year before I was actually comfortable with options enough to be doing that. I did a lot of paper trading, did a lot of research, a lot of reading, probably a little bit too much. And I dabbled a little bit, but it was always with like $100 or $200 worth of something. So yeah, just be careful, especially with stocks like Tesla that are highly volatile. You can easily blow up a long-term position if you don't know what you're doing. And that there is, I think level 1 options have a lot lower risk than pretty much any type of option because you're selling, right? And so like worst case is you either own shares. In the perfect scenario, if things go wrong, you own shares that you wanted to have anyway, or you sold at a price that you thought was fair to you. But if you really screw up, you start chasing yields. And so you ever heard of the company Microvision?
yeah,
That's a garbage company. Now maybe it'll work out for them, and they do have some good products. But I ended up owning a lot of shares because I was chasing yields when I was new to selling and doing the will strategy, and I was like, "Oh man, look at the yields of this! It's great." Thankfully, I didn't ride it all the way down to the bottom, but man, that was a painful but valuable lesson. So the other side of it, I see with a number of Palantir shareholders, I still covered calls against it. But the more you know the stock, the easier it is to do just because you know kind of what to expect. And it's in price discovery mode right now. I know it's not at the all-time high, but that's the reality of it. And so you have to be really, really careful around those type of events, earnings days, potential S&P 500 inclusion dates. So like for Tesla, the 10-10 event, that's one that's a big wild card. I'm sure IV is very, very high. I'm not actually holding any options on Tesla right now. I decided to do a lot of porting into HIMS and some others, but you have to kind of know a stock well. You have to know what your risk is, and if you're good with selling at a certain price or rolling things out. So yeah, study up, follow people that know a lot more about it than me. Don't be afraid to paper trade it, and just know that there is some risk. I know a lot of people that, actually TJ was talking about this today. I think he has some covered calls that he sold on Palantir last year for like $12 or something.
I think it was $12. Yeah.
Yeah. So he sold them when Palantir was at 6. So like it did quite well, but it looks on the balance sheet and he can let it expire and it'll be fine. But it looks on the balance sheet like, wow, look at all that money that I left on the table. And it's true. So there is a risk. I love doing it. I personally, this year, I'm on track to yield somewhere between 12 and 15% on my entire portfolio from selling options.
that's amazing. Yeah, I got to start it, man. I have a close friend of mine who basically watching, the YouTube community, watching TJ and watching, all the people that we know and have collabed with. He started doing it, and he's bringing in a great amount of money every week, every 2 weeks. And I was like, no, I don't do it because my broker doesn't allow it. We were chatting about it, and he's like, well, how many shares of Tesla do you have? And I told him, he's like, what the fuck? Like, you can really start to make some money on this, which, ultimately made me call my broker and be like, hey, when is this coming? And can I get on the beta for it? And they're like, actually, it's going to be rolling out in 2 weeks.
Oh, that's awesome.
You called like the customer support and they told you that?
Yeah.
Oh.
I get priority support.
Yeah, but that's
like I'm literally tapped into their product team now.
He's a well.
But is that I'm not trying to disclose much, but like with the brokerage that we're on, that's just because you have a level of assets, right? Yeah, I've got that too, but I've never used it. So what it will like?
They linked me directly to their product team and like via email, and they're like, hey, I also joined their beta tester rounds. So like They're rolling. I can tell you offline what the new products are that they're rolling out and that they're coming in the next couple of months, and they're pretty cool. So I get to test them out.
Yeah. Okay. I saw. Well, yeah. We'll talk offline. I don't know where to go now because I wanted to say
Sorry.
about that. I saw the joint thing is what I was going to say. That's the one that I saw was coming out. Anyway.
Yeah, there's no other ones.
The next thing that I want to cover is what Vadim actually posted on X today. Okay.
I don't think I saw that.
This.
I didn't.
Now, it might be pretty hard to read, and I don't know how we're going to... Yeah, that's too small. But essentially, he's scraping SoFi's website to find their new job positions that they're posting in their careers page, and then which ones are being taken off, potentially what he presumes is because they're being filled. I think that's a fair assumption. Anyway, it is interesting to go through these. I don't know if you guys saw this and which names you thought were interesting. But yeah.
I saw this when he first scraped a week or two ago. I didn't see this though. So
these are all new?
Yeah, new this week.
Jeez.
I love seeing engineers.
Yeah. And you can see some here like senior manager, software engineer for money is what it says. I'm going to assume that's SoFi Money, their checking account product, banking core. They've been offering a lot of jobs in this area with the descriptions saying that they're wanting to help get CDs out to customers and these sort of things, which is funny because if you actually look at SoFi's, deposits in their balance sheet, you can actually tell that their time deposits are actually going way down. Like they're not doing a whole lot of CDs comparatively to how many total deposits they're actually bringing on.
Look at that AI specialist, Gen AI NLP.
NLP?
Yeah.
I was thinking NPL. I was like non-performing, non-loan performing.
I thought neurolinguistic programming, but sure.
You're probably right. I'm not in your field.
I don't know.
Yeah,
well, I mean, the Gen AI thing just makes me think, or natural language protocol. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Branch manager for Golden Pacific Bank. If you guys don't know, SoFi, I think has 8 branches, like physical branches that you can walk into, but they're still Golden Pacific Bank. They're just not getting rid of them. They bought it whenever they bought the business.
Product designer, UI, UX is good too. But yeah, that generative AI, I'm seeing a lot of that from different companies, either what they're looking for right now or who they're hiring. Like AI is just real, guys. And I'm very glad that SoFi, I mean, with risk specifically, that may just be more for fraud detection and protection, that sort of thing. But this is Gen AI specifically. I don't know. It might be more than that. It's hard to say.
I mean, it's only one role, right? So
yeah.
Behind our names, I'll just push this up for a second just so you guys can see this as well. But nothing crazy. Learning specialist.
Admin assistant for Noto. Some of y'all degens in the chat can start applying.
Yeah.
Be Noto's assistant.
I wonder, are they adding more, or did the last one not want to come in at midnight anymore?
Jeez.
Next, these are the removed positions. Assumed potentially they're closed or filled. Staff product designer for SoFi Money. A lot of banking engineer stuff. At the bottom, what's hidden here, SoFi Bank credit card segment lead, fraud prevention and detection specialist, origination specialist, production assistant. Sorry, I don't care about that one, but another credit card segment lead. Yeah. All right. And lastly, one other one is Galileo. It's not as many, but this is both for new positions and removed positions starting at this point here. So you can see what they're looking for now and it's just a ton of Latin American positions for Technisys, and then removed positions also. Here, I'll show you.
A lot
Also
of
a
Argentina.
Latin
Millier.
positions.
Like that's actually really interesting. All the Buenos Aires in Argentina.
Yeah. So thank you to Vadim. He is filling the shoes of Bender 9000, just giving us an unbelievable amount of DD, probably almost too much at this point, and he'll be updating that every week. So good on him. Okay. There's other small stuff that happened this week for SoFi that I thought was interesting. There was a new marketplace partnership that Godwin spotted here. SoFi and Upside are teaming up to offer big savings on gas. Download the free Upside app and earn up to 60 cents per gallon cash back on your first 2 fill-ups. So I don't know if SoFi is going to be taking part in any of that Upside, but that's definitely referral fees that they're going to be receiving. That'll probably fall under the referral category for financial services. But who knows? Maybe a larger, marketplace of companies that work with SoFi. You have Ticketmaster. You've got, Expedia for their travel division. Potentially, this is just more and more companies trying to work with SoFi, partner with SoFi to offer a little bit more of a super app if possible. Anything on that, guys?
No, it's that is I mean, it's nice that they do these little things, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Hey, Roy, guess what?
What's that?
Hims is joining the S&P Small Cap 600.
Did see
I
that.
read that.
Yeah, when I messaged you, dude.
Did you?
You don't read my messages.
I haven't opened it. Oh, yeah, you did.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was quite a dip. Maybe we'll talk about that later in the show or in after hours. But yeah, I bought the dip. I did my usual weekly buy. I bought the dip. Didn't get the best fill, but I wanted to get some right there. So, yeah, SoFi is just kind of in a place so I guess the one thing that we hadn't mentioned, October 29th, it's not 8 a.m. Let me pull it up. It's in the morning. October 29th is SoFi earnings for this coming quarter. Of course, when we get a little bit closer to time, guys, we'll go over earnings predictions like always. I'll get it wildly wrong like always. We'll have some fun. And earnings, I mean, they're going to beat. Easy triple beat setup. And we don't know what the stock will do. Like the stock could do anything. But
we don't?
I mean, I have a pretty good idea.
$11.
It's going to 100. No, not really. But it annoys me. I was talking to these guys before the channel. Like last time, PayPal and SoFi had earnings the same day at the same time, and they did it again. And I'm just so annoyed. Like Tuesday morning is the worst morning for me anyway. And then both of these companies that I want to cover do it at this. It's like, come on, guys, just coordinate a little bit more. So hopefully one of them is just boring and I can just focus on the other. So that'd be great.
Last time, they were both pretty exciting. So
they were.
It's interesting. And we even kind of disagreed on which one was more exciting, which kind of makes them pretty close, but they were both great.
The market agreed with me, and that's what matters. So.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the market really quick.
Yes.
I want to show you guys 2 charts really quickly because SoFi stock does not move. This thing is stuck in the gutter, as everyone says. And today it's up 7.15%. And if we actually look last 5 days, it's up 5.5%. 1 month, 11%. Lots of volatility, ups and downs. And 3 months, just because we're catching it right at the dip, looks amazing, up nearly 30% in the last 3 months. But obviously, If you go any further, not so much anymore, but it's definitely better at -18 than it was, in other areas. Even 1 year, it's up 13%. But yeah,
and year to date, it's down about 13%. So,
18.
one of the things that I've been kind of thinking about is, and I'm not trying to time this at all. I have my SoFi position. I'm happy with it. If we see SoFi drop more, and it could between now and year end, it's going to be a potential victim for tax loss harvesting. And what that looks like is when it's especially a factor when the market has just gone up and to the right, and certain stocks like SoFi just have not. So down 13%, maybe that won't be much of a factor because there's other better candidates out there. But a lot of large funds and also individuals like to offset some of their gains so they don't pay as many taxes by harvesting SoFi at a loss, which means a lot of selling pressure. Usually that's later in November after Thanksgiving, in December. Some do it a bit earlier. But raise a rising price like this, especially if we see it stabilize here or even rise some, I think it's going to prevent that from happening, or at least being much of a target. It becomes a lot less attractive when the gain you're harvesting or the loss you're harvesting is like a 10% loss. Like, it's no big deal. Yeah, a lot of us are up. It's like, the thing too to realize is, it's been down. Like, it dropped down in January real quick. So a lot of us that have been buying have been averaging down, or in some cases averaging up with really good averages. So I'm not tax loss harvesting, but that's just something to kind of be aware of. So if that happens, I will definitely be buying a lot more SoFi. Like, if it gets tax loss harvested down to like sevens, low sevens, and we are in the same place we are as far as macro, yeah, I'm going to add a lot more SoFi.
Matt Flo is in the chat. So hi to Matt Flo. Great guest the other week, but he's still adding, great insight here. The market always goes to the right, either up or down. The market never goes left. Good insight, Matt. Thank you so much.
It can.
This is the level of insight that SoFi's product team is looking for from Matt. Sorry, I'm picking on him, but I'm sure you could take it.
Yeah, and I know that means, you can't go back in time, but like, some companies can. As far as their valuation, as far as them ceasing to exist, that can happen. So.
Someone just said, turn your phone around. And then it'll go left, eh?
Turn it upside down.
So, yeah. What else are you guys excited about in the markets? We could talk a little hymns, or a little Palantir, something, if you'd like.
Hymns, yeah. Tevis, you buy any hymns this week?
Yeah, I bought it on the dip yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever it dipped.
Did you get in the 16s, or were you in the 17s when you bought it?
1670, 1680, something like that.
I think it's like 1725 for me. I actually used, for the second time, the Robinhood 24-hour market. I just put a limit order in and just said, hey, if it fills in the overnight market, if it fills in the day, I'm good with this price. So that's close to my average anyway. So I was happy adding there. And of course, it went down to like 1620 or something. Mark mentions he got it at 1630. But I'm like, you know what, I'm terrible at timing stocks. I'm terrible at finding the bottom. But I think I'm pretty good at identifying pretty excellent companies. So like, HIMS is just, well, let me pull up a chart, since Nala likes his charts. All right. I mean, look how volatile this thing is if you can pull it up. So this is over the 1 month, and it was in the 13s. It got all the way up to 19. Just this week, it's been trading from 1931 all the way down to 1626, and it's jumped up about 5% here in the after hours because of the S&P 600, the small cap inclusion notification that'll be happening next week. And Tevis, what caused that? Like, why does the stock do this sort of thing?
Basically, Eli Lilly came out and they said that one of their weight loss solutions, I can't pronounce it, tirzepatide, so the Mounjaro one for the basically a diabetes weight loss solution was no longer on a shortage list, and Hims fell, but that's not even the one that they sell. They have they have another one that is still on the shortage list. So I think it's just people just didn't under Terzipatide. There you go. Thank you, Dougie.
What did you say? Terdipide?
That's how it's pronounced.
And so basically, the perception was that this would affect Hims, and Hims doesn't even offer this product. So the shortage doesn't affect Hims in the slightest. And even if it did, man,
this is the one not what was the problem, right? It was
that's the one that Hims sells.
This is how you pronounce it. This is not actually what it is.
Yeah, that's the one that Eli Lilly, the Eli Lilly news came out with a couple of days ago. So essentially, like with Hims, they're very closely now tied. Like their growth story is very closely now tied with GLP-1s, but their entire like growth trajectory is so much more than just GLP-1s. And so I think that there is this like false perception in the market, because everybody is trading Hims. Like it has drastic moves. The other time I bought him, like when I first started to position Hims, was again Eli Lilly news coming out with GLP-1 news that caused Hims to drop into the 13s. And so I just started buying on the way up, 14, 15, 16. I think my average is like 15, 10 or something. But again, GLP-1s are a part of the growth story, but they offer so much more than just that.
I thought this was interesting as well. Sofi doesn't fall into this category, so don't even think about it, ladies and gentlemen. But although needing 4 quarters of straight profitability, or well, that's actually not true, but the sum of all 4 quarters needs to be positive. Roy actually taught me that. And that actually does work out for Hims. That will never work out for Sofi because they wrote off a goodwill thing for Q3, so they're negative like 200 million. Next quarter, however, they'll be very positive.
Yeah, it's like just wait 20 days.
Yeah.
But yeah, Hims is going to be great. I can't wait to listen to their earnings call, mostly because I just think that they're going to keep rolling out products at the same pace that they've been rolling out products. I wouldn't be surprised if they roll out some big new products before the end of the year, or at least another big initiative. We'll see what happens, but I still think we're super. I don't understand why people are like, "Oh my gosh, Hims is so expensive." Like, on what measure, dude?
Price to earnings, but that's not really how you should value a company that is newly profitable. But yeah, just it's not like it's as dumb as just measuring like year over year EPS growth, and they're like, oh, it's like 3,000%. It's like, yeah, but like it was a penny before. Like that's you can't do that.
The people who compare Hims to Johnson & Johnson are the people who compare Sofi to Wells Fargo. Like it's apples and oranges.
The market cap is very low. The revenue acceleration is very real. And this right here is what I think you and I both are most excited about, this blue or teal, the personalized products. This right here is a bit of it makes the product very sticky. So up here, this blue, you get your medicine and it's the same medicine as you can get everywhere else. So you're basically, maybe there's some convenience or whatever, but it's largely about price, right? And then so subscription is like, or the personalized, this is personalized for you. It is, based on a lot of different factors. Even the medium that you're taking with some drugs is like, instead of having all these different drugs that you're taking and popping all these different pills. I work and I'm around a lot of elderly people that are like, have to keep track of like 15 different things. Now, Hims is not at the point with those sort of pills where they're doing this, but a lot of people are like, hey, hair loss and obesity and A couple other things I'm having issues with testosterone. Like, give me one pill. I don't think you could do that actually with the Ozempic, but it's basically going this direction, and they're doing more and more products on their personalized platform. And so this is lucrative. They make a lot, and they actually make their own. They own some of their own factories. Factory is the wrong word. That produce some of their own drugs too, and they're cost effective. They're efficient. They don't have any debt. They're growing rapidly. This number right here is a little bit stupid and ridiculous, but it's one of those small number things. But it's a really exciting company, and the nice thing is, like, it's so ridiculously volatile. So it's fun to sell options against, but it's also one that if you like, oh man, I missed it, you're probably going to get another chance at a dip, and then it'll rocket, and then it'll go back down, and it's like it makes SoFi look very, very tame.
I also saw this, which I thought it was interesting on the GLP-1 solution side of things. The U.S. obesity rate fell in 2023.
Wow.
Age-adjusted obesity rate among adults 20 and older. So it seems as though, I mean, this post says we might have passed the peak, that it might be a downtrend from here. Interesting here, younger adults are more likely than those 65 and older to report taking GLP-1 drugs for weight loss. So you can see this poll here that was done earlier this year in April and May. So I don't know, man. I thought it was, I've been collecting all this stuff for HIMS. I should probably just do another video on HIMS, or just start the HIMS podcast already.
HIMS Weekly.
HIMS Weekly, baby. So here you can see college grad, just interesting stats overall. There's this whole post on it, but HIMS has a part, to play in this story. And the market, as I said in previous, podcasts before and videos, like, the market is large enough for multiple players. It's not going to be like, and Eli Lilly is going to take most of the market, or whoever of these established players. There will be more than enough market share to go around for a company like HIMS.
Do you think this is like a market shrinker for businesses that potentially are long obesity?
Why would anybody be long obesity?
Well, I mean, that's a bet on freaking McDonald's. Like,
No. I would argue that McDonald's benefits more from obesity falling, because that allows more people to eat McDonald's. I don't know if that's a stupid take, but like, if I love McDonald's every day and I'm pausing eating it because of my health, if I can now have these solutions that I can have the health benefits or the obesity falling, then that removes the barriers to me to eat McDonald's. Is that dumb? I don't know. Maybe it's dumb.
Well, the chat is turning on you, but that's not.
I'm just saying, like,
here. This is what I think. So, I don't think. I'm sure there are some. I got to be really careful. I'm not trying to offend anyone, but like, I don't think the second people enter into their obesity stage, they go, oh, you know what? Less McDonald's now. And once they start taking semaglutides, they go, perfect. Now I'm going to go back to eating McDonald's. I think the part that I'm talking about is the fact that what's really working with these GLP-1s is just a cancellation of appetite. Mm-hmm. And so you're not going to supersize it. You're not going to upsell and get the large Coke, the extra large fry, whenever you're probably good with a value meal. So I'm not saying McDonald's is not going to get business still, but from reports that I remember for this GLP stuff is like, people like go back to eating those foods and they don't even feel like they don't even like it anymore.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, that some individual stories, and it does suppress appetite somewhat. So, and by the way, on HIMS, I thought I remembered seeing this, and I found it in the shareholder letter, that the personalized solution for GLP-1 is they say coming soon. So that is going to be
endless eating.
Yeah, I mean, why not?
It is America after all.
But I mean, like, even with, it's not going to kill McDonald's or Coke or anything like that. Like maybe like their growth will be a little bit slower, but there's always going to be demand for that sort of thing.
But here we're an investing podcast, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying McDonald's goes away. It's not like every single time I'm ever like, oh, is this bad for a company? People go immediately to bankruptcy. But maybe
what are you saying?
A slowing of growth or a retraction in revenue.
Don't they already have that right now? Because like the meals are not cheap anymore.
Yeah, but if it's furthering, that's going to pull like stocks. I mean, obviously, it's not a perfect stock market, so not everything's at fair value. But if it's even hovering around fair value, let's say, or trying to be pulled towards fair value, if the market sorry guys, I am a total addressable market investor, and if that shrinks, the stock should shrink with it. You know? Are you thinking about Palantir right now, Roy? What do you want to say?
Yes. I'm not going there though. We've gone there before. We're on.
So you're saying that like these solutions, the GLP-1 solutions, are going to be so large that a huge percentage of the population is going to be on them, essentially lowering that obesity rate and cutting the appetite so much that McDonald's sales suffers. Am I hearing that correctly?
Potentially. I mean, if these GLP-1 drugs continue to come back and have less health problems that people would suspect. I know that there was some stuff with muscle density and stuff like that, but and sorry if I'm like, I don't cover pharmaceuticals all that often, but so I just see the passing headlines. But that being said, if that is a solution and the cost of these drugs are going down and the facilities to produce these drugs are only going up, I could see obesity dropping below 20% if this continues to be the drug that every doctor is prescribing. Like, it's just a matter of time. And sure, I mean, 65-year-olds may not be excited to take those drugs right now. The great thing is, I mean, I have like nieces and nephews where some of them have troubles with their weight, and they're on Ozempic, and they're like 15. You know,
crazy.
It's crazy, but that is, you can argue whether that's good or bad, but that's where we are. That is happening. And so one of the things that I was going to say last is like, there's a lot of old people and there's a lot of obese people. There's not a lot of obese old people. Okay. That number is not a number for the long haul. If you're an investor over the long period of time and you're looking for a drug or market that's going to grow over the next 20 years, I'd not be worried about the old people. I'd be worried about the people that are coming up that are getting these drugs at 15.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I want to make a joke, but it's going to come off sounding stupid. I was just going to say like, well, for all the old people who are not dying because they're on Ozempic, they can equalize the people who are not eating McDonald's who are young, and McDonald's will be fine. But
look, I don't think the people who are on Ozempic are eating McDonald's.
Yeah. Well, I guess my question was going to be, and I don't know this, but like, how does your body react when you're off it? Like, does your appetite slowly come back after a while, or
I don't know that.
Does your weight come back at the same pace? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I think it's a pretty, like, you have to stick on these drugs for some time.
Yeah, the weight loss themselves, and it depends on how long you've been on it. I know a lot of people actually get on it for a month and then get off of it. And part of that, I mean, there's a variety of factors. Some of that's an expense, and that's one of the things that Hims does very well because they own their own facilities that can do this. And they have subscription packages that are like under $200 for, and this is a very expensive drug. Typically, it's pretty likely too that insurance will start covering it a little bit more. But once you're on it for a while and then you get off of it, it's not like going off of, I've done keto a couple of times. It's not going off the keto diet and you eat carbs, and instantly you gain 5 pounds. That doesn't happen here. It's what happened with the weight that you lost, and it's not instant, it's not magic. You're still putting in work and everything, but it does have an effect that's clinically proven. That weight loss sticks around. Now, if you I don't know about the appetite or anything like that, but if you revert to all your old habits, yeah, eventually you'll regain your weight. But it takes a while, and it's not instant.
I don't know, man. Like, it might be, again, some overly simplistic, but like, I think people are people, and they're always going to tend towards the instant gratification dopamine hits. And so I think fast food joints will always be around. I think alcohol is always going to be around. I think gambling is always going to be around. I think, all of these like sin stocks are always going to be around. Just because it's easy.
I'm super anti that.
Well, it doesn't matter if like we're anti or pro, like from an ethical perspective or whatnot. I'm just saying that like human psychology is going to push people towards that.
I don't think so. I think it's not an ethical thing for me. I don't mind people investing in sin stocks or whatever like this. I think that social media has changed. I think healthy eating and working out is at all-time highs right now because people see influencers who are doing this and they're trying to chase that lifestyle versus these things. Now, with this added GLP-1 drugs and everything like this, like I don't know how to short obesity, but I would not bet on their success.
So first of all, that's your algorithm. And second of all, like we wouldn't need GLP-1s if people were actually gung-ho about eating healthy and working out. Like the fact that we think speaks to there's being a problem, right?
I think there's just extremes on both sides. But now the one extreme has a magical drug to solve that problem that's coming down in price. And like, I would bet on the pharmaceuticals. Like, I think that those are like, and that's your HIMSS play, right? But I don't know. I'm just talking from a industry standpoint. I don't know if,
Plus, it's like the pharmaceuticals would want something, and I'm just trying to think like from first principles. Like the pharmaceuticals would want something that's not a one and done solution, that's not a silver bullet. That wants, they want to hook you up on a recurring thing, so that the moment you get off it, you rebound instantly, and you sort of, have all these troubles. Like if I was a pharmaceutical company, if I was Eli Lilly or HIMSS or whatnot, I would want to sell a product on a recurring basis, monthly, quarterly, bi-yearly, whatever. I wouldn't want like a one and done, like, hey, here's a cure to cancer kind of thing. Well, like we can go into conspiracy theory land, but my point is like they profit off of that recurring subscription, and they're not selling a product once and for all.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. I think insurance companies will enjoy this as well. If like, you're extending lifespans, that probably affects life insurance premiums.
Mm-hmm. What I'm really interested in is, so when the new year started this year, Ozempic, I mean, it was in the media, people were aware of it, but they may not have known many people personally that have used the product. Now it's a good bit more common, and HIMSS is coming out with this personalization, hopefully before the end of the year. There's always an effect as the new year comes around. People make resolutions and they gain a bunch of holiday weight, and they say, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to lose weight. And they go to the gym. And like, it always annoyed me when I'd go, we have a HOA, so we have our own like little private gym, but it always annoyed me when I would go and like, it just like so freaking full for like that month. I'm really wondering what happens with HIMSS this quarter one, like in January, when people have a little bit more money because of holiday and bonuses and stuff, and they are thinking about their health, and they know family members or friends or people at work that have been using Ozempic, and then there's this company that's like, hey, this is less expensive, this is in a medium that you like, we have the personalization hopefully by then, and it's done discreetly through the internet. Dude, that's a freaking winner. Like HIMSS, I think it's year-over-year growth, I think will continue to accelerate rapidly. And it doesn't really matter that Eli Lilly will get a piece and there's other companies that'll get a piece. Like this is a product that's, I think, going to explode over this next year, especially with the personalization aspect. I'm very excited. And that's why I'm not like dilly-dallying around with DCAing, like 50 shares here and 20 shares. It's like my position's almost built out with HIMS right now. It's almost built out.
Wow. I wonder, how long does it take someone like yourself to build out like a $1 million+ position in HIMS?
Yeah, it's certainly not that big, but no, it's close to a 5% allocation for me, which is usually where I build out a new position. I do have some cash secured puts that I don't think will fill, but I'll continue to sell those on HIMS. And I don't mind going up a little bit more. I need to keep doing due diligence in this company because I'm very new to it. There's a lot, like even just tonight pulling up the slide deck, I was like, oh man, I forgot this, and didn't remember this, and I wonder what this part means. It takes me, a while before I'm comfortable entering a position, but it also takes me a while before I really feel like I know the ins and the outs. So
I mean, what I will say is that my HIMS position is much larger than my SoFi position was when I started SoFi Weekly.
Oh my God, my heart was like, I was like, what are you about to say?
I sold my SoFi and bought HIMS. I mean, I wouldn't sell SoFi.
I mean, it would be on brand, I guess, for me. But no, I mean, I've been adding fairly aggressively to my HIMS position, and it's now up there. I think it's hold on, let me just double check.
This is straight financial advice. If Tevis sells SoFi, double your position.
Yes.
And then hold on tight.
my HIMS position right now is the 8th largest holding I have across everything. It's 1.5%. And that's in a matter of a couple weeks.
HIMS is 1.5%?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So SoFi's a little over 10x my HIMS position, but again, it'll take some time. But I think HIMS Weekly will be really good for us, Roy, to learn some more.
Honestly, yeah. We made it depends what the company does, but we're serious about possibly doing something like that, guys. So, we may get to a point 6 months down the road where all right, we're good and everything we said about HIMS is good, so we'll make it bi-weekly or once. But there's a lot to go over. It's a pretty exciting company that puts out products very well. This isn't the exact corollary, but they remind me so much of Robinhood in the way that company is developed and run. It's founder led. They don't believe in debt. They do acquisitions very well. They ship products incredibly well, and they have this amazing vision that they're very capable of executing on. So I'm excited. I'm very excited. I bought Nubank, and I'm happy to be in Nubank. I can tell you I'm more excited about HIMS than Nubank, and it's not because of the price action or anything like that. Nubank is a great company, and I'm getting ready to add more to that position now too because it keeps falling, and I love it. But HIMS is just, I think it's a 10-bagger. I'll just say that. Okay. I think Nubank is eventually too. It'll take a little bit longer.
Hold on a second. So Nubank, you said it wasn't due to price action. So one is the super app of all of Latin America. The other one sells dick pills. So let's just put it into perspective here.
To the most lucrative market in the world, bar none. That is over-medicated and saturated with these draconian companies that charge an arm and a leg and half of your liver and do it in the most dehumanizing way. HIMS is built very different, and it's disrupting that entire market. So we'll go back to you because I don't want to take it, but
dehumanizing ways.
Eli Lilly is doing what they're doing with GLP-1 because of companies like HIMS that are eating its lunch that otherwise it could not continue operating the way it's operating. And Eli Lilly is a giant behemoth. And if they're feeling a little bit of pain, they're like, hey, we got to shift the way that we're doing.
It's meaningful. Behemoth? What did you just say?
Yeah, behemoth.
How do you pronounce that like that?
Yeah.
I've never heard it like that.
Tanner, you just totally sounded like all the Palantir guys have sounded for the past year to us.
No, you sound like the...
No. I didn't say anything, but that categorization of one is this behemoth of Latin America and the other one sells dick pills. You know what that in my mind, it just immediately popped up one's the best company in the world and the other one's a bank. It's okay, cool. I don't think you can just categorize it. It's oh yeah, well they sell dick pills. They sell dick pills with a weight loss pill in one single pill.
Oh, I'm good. That's awesome. I'm happy you guys have your hard mints. I might even make a position, but Nubank might be one of the greatest companies I've ever laid my eyes on, and then you guys brush it off.
I'm not brushing it off. I told you I'm adding to my position very soon, and I'm very excited by it. But Hims is like I use that comparison just to say like I've built 2 new positions in the last basically 2 years that are actual shares, like Robinhood.
Deals in America are not larger than financial services in Latin America. Pharmaceuticals might be, but I mean, definitely, but that's not what we're talking about here.
Yeah, Latin America though, I mean, like it's growing, and I want to be in that market. But this is like the J.P. Morgan Chase of Latin America. I think that's a better, like when J.P. Morgan Chase IPO'd, and just like you see where it's at, what it's done. I think even more so, like there's more to it than that. Fantastic company. I can buy those shares, never sweat, never worry about the price, and it's fantastic. Hims is explosive. Nubank is one of those that it's just going to keep growing, and there will be times when it's explosive, but it's built for a marathon, and it's going to win that marathon. Hims is built for a 100-yard dash, and it's going to set world records.
Tanner, just think if you're someone in Latin America, what do you need more? Do you need a bank or do you need dick pills? I'll just leave you with that, and then you'll see the error in your ways. Okay,
I got you. Understood. Understood. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly.
Now, great day in the markets. Hopefully, you guys made tons of money today and throughout the week. But is that it for today? And let's honestly, and I'm not poo-pooing Hims. I'd actually like to do a stock tank.
You're not invited to Hims Weekly. Get out of here.
I'm not. But I do want to do a stock tank episode 2 on Hims potentially, because we didn't do any charts on the first one. It was more just a conversation. I would like a presentation one like we used to do.
Rodolfo said, "New diversifies into telehealth." I mean, it's Nubank, so that's not realistic. But like they can pull out some crazy stuff, like, and they do it well. So
yeah, I don't know. I get that Shopify feeling with Nubank, where I'm like, oh, I'm going to be holding this company for the rest of my life, and it's going to be the largest bank in the world. And for some reason, people don't see it coming, but it'll happen.
You think it's going to be the largest bank in the world
by market cap? Yeah,
it's already up there.
It's pretty fucking close already.
Yeah,
what's its market cap?
Like 80 billion, 75 billion.
What do you mean pretty close already? Isn't like JP Morgan like 400 billion? Like how?
Yeah, but the company is growing at unbelievable rates. If JP Morgan grows at their continued 6% and they get pinned at a price to book at 1.7 times.
Are they the biggest?
What?
Is JP Morgan the biggest by market cap?
Yeah. And if Nubank, I think it'll be the Tesla thing. They're not going to sell as many cars as all other manufacturers combined, but they'll be bigger than all of them by market cap. Because
it's like what, a 5-6x?
It's a 10x. 10x as soon as, and I know JP Morgan Chase wants it still, but like it just because of the vector, how the company executes and the vector of that Latin American economy, like they can do that. They don't have in a lot of the places that they're at, they don't have credible competition. They just don't. Like there's no number 2 that's anywhere close.
Right.
So there is competition. It's not the same. It's like a whole different tier. They are the National League football, and the other people are playing in high school. Like that's it.
Right.
Yeah, and they're already in talks to go over to Middle East and Africa. They want to take that region as well soon. Expand up. Like there's although America has great banking services, whenever you start to separate that by demographic and you see a massive Hispanic population within America, they are completely underserved.
Yeah.
So I could see them going upstream, going across the pond, tons of different areas for them to grow into. And it's all based on one tech stack that they've designed that is by far the lowest cost to serve for fintech globally. Like there's no touching them. So, but they're mainly only in retail right now. I think once they dominate that area, then they can start servicing institutional clientele, which they are doing in certain things, but another area for them to grow into.
Shane has mentioned, SoFi, of course, and the goal is that top 10 market cap for fintech companies. And I think that there's a decent chance, like if they don't hit it, they'll still be doing very, very well. But it's largely confined to the United States market, which is huge. Like this is the place to be. But I mean, realistically, all of Latin America, then you start expanding to Africa, the Middle East. You get, people that are immigrating here to the United States. They bring their new bank with them, and yeah, I mean, it's just huge growth potential with Nubank. I'm glad to be in both companies. There is geopolitical risk with Nubank. They'll survive whatever is thrown at them, but there could be some really difficult, and I think that there probably will be over this next decade, some very difficult geopolitical issues that they face. But very excited to own them. But yeah, HIMS, like they're ridiculous. Like it's one of those. So basically, Tanner, I guess the reason why I say that is with Nubank, I don't feel like an urgency to get and snap up as much Nubank as I can, because I feel like next year, if I'm buying it in the 25s, and it could be 25, like who knows, like I'm not going to regret that buy ever, because I'll be like, hey, Nubank's just going to keep growing, it's going to keep doing its thing, versus HIMS, it could absolutely freaking explode this next year.
Sure.
To the point where, like, I think it was the all-time high was like, maybe there's an older all-time high, but I know recently it was in the 20s. Like people would be like, man, that's an amazing price average. Like that's just how I see it with the opportunity that's on the table. I realize, data-driven investing has been talking about HIMS for a while, and there's some others too. Because of Teladoc, I was in Teladoc very briefly. I didn't lose very much money, but I realized how terrible of management and leadership was in that. And it's competition. There's a lot of different factors. And that burned me enough that I didn't even look at HIMS as a credible investment. And that's on me. And then when Tevis finally woke me up and he said, you need to look at this, I'm like, okay, I'll take a look. I was like, okay, I was wrong. Like, when I'm wrong, some people, when they're wrong, they're just like, well, I'm going to pretend like I never said that, or I'm going to, continue and just hold that opinion, even though I was wrong. Dude, when I'm wrong, I rectify that. And so I've been doing that and buying heavily. Nubank was one of those I was never wrong on. It took a while for me to, because their earnings are so long, their presentations are so long, and there's so much to note Nubank. It takes time to digest that full thesis and really understand it. The simplified one's easy, versus like HIMS, you can spend probably 30 minutes looking at the company and looking at their earnings, looking at what they've come out as far as products, and you'll understand the thesis and why it's so exciting. Longer is better, of course, but yeah.
It's taken me longer to write my full thesis on Nubank right now than it has for my SoFi one.
Oh, yeah.
It's very complicated whenever you're going into other markets.
Yes.
But, ladies and gentlemen, I want to transition this call over to the SoFi Weekly After Hours show, which is not a live show. It's a pre-recorded one that we're going to go record right now, but it'll be released tomorrow. If you guys want access to that show, you'll have to subscribe either to my show or my channel or Tevis's on YouTube and hit that join button. It is a members only show every week. Thank you all so much for watching. Really do appreciate your time. But Tevis.
Sorry, I was trying to find the unmute button. Bye for now. Thanks for doing this to me every freaking